The definition of financial freedom, where all your monthly income requirements are met without working for the rest of your life, where work becomes optional. That only around 6% of people will ever achieve this. Anyone with a job can achieve complete financial freedom within 240 months. Hello everybody, my name is Alex Cook and my mission is to put valuable tools into your hands to help you achieve financial freedom, complete financial freedom. Today we're going to be looking at the 5 golden rules, and in particular the second one which covers how to start living a financially free life from tomorrow. But first, a note on financial freedom. Financial freedom is not retirement. Financial freedom is that point at which you have the option to work or not work. To stop working altogether and to stop having purpose is never ever a good idea. But to have the ability to not work in a job you do not enjoy is wonderful and liberating. The definition of financial freedom could be this, where all your monthly income requirements are met without working for the rest of your life, where work becomes optional. Sad reality is that only around 6% of people will ever achieve this. Most people, 94%, will not.
Heading towards a life of financial freedom means that you are going to upset certain people. Just like we discussed in the first video where we talked about values, and after writing your eulogy, you are going to upset certain people by living towards a life of complete financial freedom where you will have everything. Because it means for a little while, you will probably not be keeping up with the Joneses. And that will upset certain people in your life. Accept that.
Let's take a look at financial stress. Financial stress affects absolutely everyone. It affects everyone, whether they're earning a small amount of money, whether they're earning an enormous amount of money, whether they have no assets, whether they have an enormous amount of assets. Everyone is affected by financial stress. You might be at this level where you have no financial cushion, your clothes are worn out, you fear your utilities might be disconnected, you need emergency medical care but can't afford it, you're using high interest loans and those are busy munching away your money, or maybe they're not even high interest loans, maybe they're high fee loans. You might be at this level where if any emergency hits you, you would be seriously affected, where your car repair costs have just soared and you aren't able to get your car fixed, or perhaps you need better medical cover but you can't afford that. You might be at this level where you feel, oh, if I had a job loss, it'll ruin me and I wouldn't be able to recover from that. Maybe retirement feels impossible, or you're not saving enough money, or you have only one plan. If that one plan fails, everything falls over. You might be at this level where you're now worried about stock market fluctuations, and you worry that your asset allocation isn't correct, where you aren't earning enough on your money year after year. Or you might be at this level where you start becoming worried about future generations. How are they going to be spending your wealth wisely when you're no longer here? So there's good news, and this is the good news. The good news is that anyone with a job can achieve complete financial freedom within 240 months. Anyone. And that number of 240 months, that is at a push. In most cases, it can be achieved way before that. I've seen it being achieved within 10 years. Complete financial freedom, where you do not have to work again. Now, that still seems a long way off. 240 months still seems a very long way off. So how do you start living a financially free life within 6 months? And how do you make your reality sound more like this, where your fridge is stocked with healthy food? You have no housing payments to worry about. You're always dressed warmly. When bills come in, you're ready. You've got reliable transportation. You're free from utility stress. Or your savings are growing every single month. You're prepared for unexpected bills. You're earning more than you're spending. Lovely situation to be in. And when emergencies arise, you're not stressed. You've got them covered. Or where you're learning to invest with confidence. When markets shift, you adapt. When economic downturns happen, you're not worried. And then get to this level where you're ready for life surprises. You've got various plans for any scenario, and where you're protected against financial storms. And then get to this level where compounding wealth feels effortless and you're starting to reap investment rewards on an annual basis. And finally, where you start crafting a lasting legacy for those that you leave behind.
Just remember, the big reward for getting towards financial freedom is that you will not be beholden to anyone. You'll be able to live like very few people you know will be able to live. You'll have freedom and the luxury of time that very few people that are around you right now will ever have. So it's worth fighting for.
So how do we go from the previous situation into this one? And it all starts with the 5 golden rules. The first of the 5 golden rules that we covered last session is that you need to start with the end in mind. So start with the very, very end in mind. Start with your eulogy and write your eulogy out. And it'll detail where you want your life to go, what you want your life to ultimately look like. And then work backwards, step by step, right to today, to figure out what path you need to take to make that eulogy a reality. Then creating a monthly budget. And this is how you start living a financially free life today. Then eliminate debt. Stop being a slave to the financial institutions. We'll cover that in the next session. Building an emergency fund. Access your bulletproof jacket for any emergency that may happen. And then automate savings and investments. Make complete financial freedom a reality. Make it a paint by numbers reality. So the dreaded B word, budget. Quite frightening for most. And when you first hear this, you probably think some of these thoughts. Maybe you feel anxious. Perhaps budgeting feels restrictive. Like you haven't got the freedom to do what you want to do. It might feel like a lot of work. Doing a budget initially is a bit of work. Okay, I'm not gonna make any qualms about that. It is a bit of work. You might feel depressed. Perhaps you're not good with numbers, and you feel, because I'm not good with numbers, I can't possibly do a budget. You think it's impossible. It feels overwhelming. Maybe you're comparing your budget to other people's budget, and it kind of makes you feel bad. Or perhaps you don't have enough money to budget. Oh, I don't earn enough money to budget. Now, we've heard all of these before because they're not uncommon. It's the way we all feel when we hear the word budget, because to many of us it can be frightening.
Financial freedom, budgeting, all of these things, make them fun. Turn them into a game. Turn them into a game where the ultimate winner, if you're successful, no, not if, when you're successful, is you.
We've had some crazy post-budget feedback, absolutely crazy post-budget feedback, and these are the sort of responses that we've heard where people have said, my budget has set me free to live a guilt-free life. My budget empowers me. The work of doing a budget was so worth it. I'm actually excited about my finances. People come back to us and they said, I'm now excited to do my finances every single month. Let's get you to that position. Budgeting is easier than a maths exam. In other words, it's not all just about numbers. It's so easy. I want to teach others. And this I encourage each one of us to do. If we find something useful, share it, because the odds are your next door neighbor is having the same problem as you, the same challenge. I can breathe easily. I'm in a better situation than most, and I find myself having spare money. In other words, more money than month, which is great.
If you're finding this whole process of budgeting overwhelming, I'd recommend just getting started. And the way you can get started really easily is by making sure that when money hits your account, that it gets taken out. Take it out to settle debt. Then take it out to set up an emergency fund. And then take it out to set up investments. And by doing that, what's left over at the end of the month is what you have to spend, no more.
The key tenets to budgeting, the main thing about budgeting is to give every single rand a job. If you don't give a rand a job, these rands behave badly. They become naughty rands and they start finding jobs for themselves. And these jobs are very rarely good jobs. So give every rand a job. Starts off with a provident fund. So you've got your money that comes in, then you've got the provident fund that comes off. After that, you pay taxes. After that, you pay debt. After that, essential expenses, non-essential expenses, and then savings. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like all of us to at some stage get from savings being the last thing we worry about to savings being the first thing we worry about. And that we'll get to at a later stage.
When our family set up our budget, initially it was a lot of work. It took us a few hours to put together the spreadsheet, to understand exactly what we're spending on groceries, what our insurance bill was a month, what the annual expenses were that came up every now and again. Once we had done it and we understood exactly where our money had to go to, every single month it actually got easier and easier, and started becoming fun. So we sit now on the 23rd or 24th of every single month just before payday happens, and we plan how we're going to expend that money that comes into our account each month.
So how to build a budget in 5 easy steps, and it's fairly straightforward. First of all, make a list of every single monthly expense, monthly debt payment, and monthly saving, all three of these. Then sort them by order of importance, and this is really, really vital, because when you need to cut something, you don't want to cut the most important something, you want to cut the least important something. So list them and sort them by order of importance. Then you'll have certain expenses which you don't pay every single month. You might pay on an annual basis, like a car license renewal, for instance, or a holiday. Break those down into monthly chunks and then allocate those monthly chunks and pop them into a pot away from your savings account. So take those annual payments or non-frequent payments, break them into monthly amounts, and then take those monthly amounts and put them somewhere else where you can't see them. Then allocate your current net earnings to each one of these items until you're left with 0 rand. If you're left with more than 0 rand, that's good news. Pop that into a savings pot, and if you haven't got an emergency fund, build that first.
Of course, with this method, one thing that can bite you are those annual expenses. So make sure that's one of the things you suck out of your account on a monthly basis as well. Just suck it out of your account, put it somewhere else where you can't easily touch it, or you're not going to easily access it, and allow that to accumulate. So when those big annual expenses do happen, that you've got the means to be able to settle them very, very easily.
So let's go through a worked example. Let's say you've got a salary of 15,000 rand and you're contributing towards a provident retirement fund of 10%, so it's 1,500 Rand. Off the rest comes taxes of about 1,100. So your spendable salary is in the order of 12,000 Rand per month. But then comes debt. Most of us have got a form of debt coming off our net available spend. They say the debt in this case is 5,000 Rand. Essential expenses is, let's say, 8,000. Now, I think you're starting to see a problem here, because 5,000 plus 8,000 is 13,000, and our spendable salary is only 12,000. So we're going backwards by 600 Rand a month. This is not a situation that can continue. And here, I'm going to ask you for permission to be completely brutal. And if I have your permission, I'm going to carry on. All non-essential expenses, if this is your situation where you are going backwards every single month, need to be cut. You need to cut them. And what are non-essential expenses? Things like restaurants, takeaways, alcohol, chocolate, DSTV, Netflix, holidays, unnecessary shopping items. It doesn't matter what you have that's unnecessary. If you're running negative every single month, cut those expenses until you can get yourself towards a positive balance. Once you get yourself towards a positive balance, that's when we'll start allocating money towards an emergency fund, towards debt repayments, and towards long-term savings. And from there, you start living a very financially free life, even though you aren't yet financially free.
I know I sound a bit like a pariah. Who's not allowing you to have any fun. Say you need to cut out on takeaways, cut out on alcohol, cut out on soft drinks, cut out on unhealthy food. Yes, you could decide how badly you want financial freedom. If you don't really want financial freedom, then don't do any of these things. It's simple. It's up to you.
If you have found this absolutely terrible, of no use whatsoever, then don't do anything. If you found this useful, interesting, or you think it might help others, then please like it, comment, and share. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon.